If you are retiring before 65 with $2 million or more sitting in your 401k or IRA, I need to warn you about something. I see it all the time. Retirees who artificially keep their income low just to qualify for health insurance subsidies through the Affordable Care Act. On the surface, it seems smart. You're saving money on healthcare premiums, right? But here's what most people don't realize. By delaying Roth conversions to chase those ACA subsidies, you could be setting yourself up to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes over your lifetime. I'm Megan, Certified Financial Planner, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly why this trade-off costs you so much more than you think, and what you should be doing instead during what I call the best spending years of your life. Let me paint a picture for you. You retire at 60, you've done everything right, you've saved diligently, you've got $3 million sitting in your traditional IRA and 401k. Now you need health insurance to bridge the gap until Medicare kicks in at 65. So you research the Affordable Care Act marketplace and discover you can get subsidies if you keep your modified adjusted gross income below certain thresholds. Your premiums can decrease by thousands of dollars per year. So what do most people do? They artificially suppress their income. They take just enough from their retirement accounts to cover expenses and stay under that ACA limit. They completely avoid Roth conversions because converting money from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA counts as taxable income, which would push them over the subsidy threshold. This is a hypothetical scenario, but let me walk you through the math. Let's say a couple could save $15,000 to $20,000 per year in health insurance premiums by staying under that income limit. Over 5 years until Medicare eligibility, that's $75,000 to $100,000 in subsidy value. Sounds amazing, right? But here's what nobody tells you. While you're saving that money on health insurance, you're creating a ticking tax bomb that will surprise you later in retirement. And that surprise will cost you far more than you saved. Let's talk numbers. This is a hypothetical example to illustrate the concept. Imagine a couple, both ages 60 and 62, with $3 million in pre-tax retirement accounts. They're considering two paths. Path A, keep income low for 5 years to maximize ACA subsidies, then start Roth conversions later. Path B, pay full price for ACA coverage and do aggressive Roth conversions now while they're married filing jointly. In Path A, they take minimal distributions, maybe $50,000 per year, which keeps them in the 10 to 12% tax bracket and qualifies them for subsidies worth roughly $20,000 per year. Over 5 years, they preserve $100,000 in subsidy value. But their $3 million IRA keeps growing, compounding at, let's say, 5% annually, and they haven't touched it much. By the time they hit 65 and start Medicare, they've got close to $3.5 million still sitting in pre-tax accounts. Now here's where it gets expensive. One spouse passes away at age 72. The surviving spouse goes from filing taxes as married filing jointly to filing as single. And this is critical. The 2026 tax brackets for single filers are drastically narrower than married couples. For married filing jointly, the 22% bracket extends up to $100,000 of taxable income. For single filers, that same 22% bracket caps at $50,400. The 24% bracket for married couples goes up to $211,400. For singles, it stops at $105,700. This means the surviving spouse with a large IRA balance is now forced to take required minimum distributions starting at age 73 under the Secure 2.0 rules. Those RMDs could easily be $120,000 to $150,000 per year from that $3.5 million balance. And they're being taxed at 24 to 32% rates instead of 10 to 22% rates they could have paid during those early retirement years as a married couple. Over 20 years, research suggests this delay in conversions could cost between $400,000 to $500,000 in extra lifetime taxes. Path B looks different. This couple pays full price for ACA coverage, which might run them $1,500 to $2,000 per month without subsidies. That's painful upfront, around $90,000 to $120,000 over 5 years. But during those same 5 years, they convert aggressively. They fill up the 22% and 24% tax brackets every year while they're married filing jointly, converting maybe $200,000 to $400,000 annually. They pay taxes now at known rates today. By the time Medicare starts and one spouse eventually passes away, they've moved $1.2 million to $2 million into Roth IRAs that grow tax-free forever. The surviving spouse's RMDs are cut in half, and most of their retirement income comes from Roth accounts that don't trigger federal income tax. The net result? Path B saves approximately $400,000 to $500,000 in lifetime taxes, even after accounting for the $100,000 they gave up in ACA subsidies. That's a $300,000 to $400,000 difference just by thinking long-term instead of short-term. Let me break down the 3 major tax traps that make delaying Roth conversions so costly. First, there's IRMA. IRMA stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, and it's basically a surcharge on your Medicare premiums if your income is too high. In 2026, if your modified adjusted gross income as a married couple exceeds $218,000, you start paying extra. At the highest tier, $750,000 or more for married couples, your Medicare Part B premium jumps from the standard $202.90 per month to $689.80 per month. That's an extra $5,843 per year per person, just at Medicare premiums alone. And that's before we even talk about Part D IRMA surcharges. Here's the kicker. IRMA is based on your income from 2 years prior. So if you wait until your 70s to do Roth conversions because you were chasing ACA subsidies in your 60s, you're going to trigger IRMA penalties for years. And once you're a surviving spouse taking those massive RMDs, IRMA becomes a permanent tax on your health care for the rest of your life. The second trap is required minimum distributions. Under Secure 2.0, you must start taking RMDs at age 73 or age 75 if you turn 74 after 2032. These are not suggestions. They are mandatory taxable withdrawals whether you need the money or not. For a hypothetical $3 million IRA, your first RMD at age 73 might be around $110,000. By age 80, it could be $180,000 or more. Every dollar comes out as ordinary income taxed at your marginal rate. If you're still married, maybe you can manage that in the 24% bracket. But if you're a surviving spouse, you're likely paying 32% or more on a big chunk of that income. The third trap, and this is the one that really hurts, is the surviving spouse tax shock. I already mentioned the bracket compression when you go from married filing jointly to single. But let me give you a concrete example. This is a hypothetical scenario for illustration. Let's say a married couple has $150,000 in taxable income in 2026. After the standard deduction of $32,200, they're taxed on $117,800. They pay roughly $20,000 in federal tax, about 13% effective rate. Now fast forward, one spouse dies, the surviving spouse still has that same $150,000 in income from RMDs, pensions, and Social Security, but now they only get a $16,100 standard deduction as a single filer. They're taxed on $133,900, and because of their narrow single brackets, they pay approximately $27,000 in federal tax, around 18% effective rate. That's $7,000 more per year in taxes, or $70,000 over 10 years, just because of their filing status change. When you stack all 3 of these together, IRMA, RMDs, and surviving spouse brackets, the cost of delaying Roth conversions becomes massive. Let's talk about something most financial advisors ignore. Your spending isn't the same throughout retirement. Research shows retirement spending follows what's called a spending smile curve. It's highest in what we call the go-go years, typically ages 60 to 75. This is when you're healthy, active, traveling, checking off bucket list items, spending time on hobbies and experiences. Then spending drops in the slow-go years, from 75 to 85, as you naturally do less. Finally, in the no-go years after 85, spending may tick back up due to healthcare and long-term care needs, but your discretionary spending stays low. A Morgan Stanley study found that retirees spend roughly 20 to 50% more during their go-go years compared to their spending after age 75. JP Morgan research in 2025 confirmed that spending patterns in the first decade of retirement are volatile and often front-loaded, with many affluent retirees spending at or above their working year levels before tapering off. So here's my question for you. Why would you sacrifice your go-go years, the best years of your retirement, just to save on health insurance? Those years between 55 and 70 are when you're most able to enjoy the wealth you spent decades building. If you're artificially keeping your income low to chase subsidies, you're either underspending and missing out on life, or you're drawing down non-retirement accounts inefficiently and setting yourself up for a massive tax bill later. The right strategy is to optimize for lifetime wealth, not short-term subsidies. Pay for your healthcare, do the Roth conversions, fill up those tax brackets while you're married filing jointly and in lower tax brackets, then enjoy your go-go years, knowing you've minimized your lifetime tax bill and protected your surviving spouse from a brutal tax situation down the road. Here's how you figure out if ACA subsidies are worth it for your situation. This is not personalized advice, just a framework. First, calculate how much you'd actually save in subsidies over the years until Medicare. Use the healthcare.gov calculator and be realistic. For many couples with $2 million or more, we're talking $15,000 to $20,000 per year in subsidy value if they stay under the 400% FPL threshold. Second, calculate how much income you're suppressing to qualify. If you could be doing $200,000 in Roth conversions each year, but you're holding back to stay under $106,000 as a single filer or $212,000 as a couple, that's the opportunity cost. Third, run a projection. What will your RMDs look like at age 73 or 75 and beyond? What tax bracket will you be in then, especially as a surviving spouse? Fourth, factor in IRMA. If your future RMDs are going to be $150,000 or more, you're likely triggering IRMA surcharges on Medicare. That's an additional $3,000 to $12,000 per year in extra healthcare costs that last for the rest of your life. Finally, compare the total. In most cases, for couples with $2 million to $5 million in pre-tax retirement accounts, the lifetime tax savings from doing Roth conversions early dramatically outweigh the 5 years of ACA subsidies they give up. We're talking about $300,000 to $700,000 in tax savings over 25 to 30 years. Now, there are exceptions. If you're only a year or two away from Medicare, it might make sense to grab those subsidies. If you have significant health issues and don't expect to live into your 80s, the math changes. If you plan to leave your IRA to charity, they won't pay tax anyway, so conversions matter less. If you've made it this far, I'm guessing you're starting to see how big of an impact tax planning can have on your retirement. This is exactly the kind of comprehensive planning we do at Mocan Wealth. We help self-made 401k and IRA millionaires keep more and pay less in taxes. We don't ignore your favorite uncle, Uncle Sam. We plan around him. If you're a married couple with $2 to $5 million in 401ks and IRAs and within 10 years of retirement, we'd love to see if we're a fit to work together. Click the link in the description below to get started. Let's help you get from where you are to where you want to be with a plan that supports your best play.